Oh, my addiction life has been 3 years. My real life is I'm different. I'm smart, ambitious, I'm flexible, I'm real analytical. Is- My addiction life just kind of keeps me sleep, keeps me away from this reality. I want to say I was becoming depressed. Some of us as parents and single moms, we get depressed. So we're kind of trying to figure it out. But this ain't me. It's not me. Or it's just a part of me. And I'm proud of my parents for coming out of this shit. They did it. And they did it good. So yeah, I'm ready to just keep trying. I hope I make it in time to get my kids back. Hello world. I am Jazz Monet. Um, 32. I'm from North Philly, raised in South Philly.
How you doing, Miss Jazz Monet? That's a pretty name. How you doing today?
Um, I just came in here this morning, like 3 in this morning. Uh, I know about this spot, the history of this spot. Um, I'm doing. I could be doing a whole lot better. Um, I started getting into some more resources lately, so hopefully that I'll, stay on a more serious path. And this winter is brutal. That shit woke me up. Excuse me for cursing. That stuff woke me up, and there's a lot of stuff I've been missing. So I've been kind of staying to myself any way possible to kind of stay away from people and kind of keep utilizing these resources. Like right now, I'm gonna be somewhere by 4, so I can get some more help. The women's center up the street is a start.
Amen to that, because we all could, use some help. Um, Now let's, jump into a backstory. How was your life coming up?
Perfect when I think about it. When you live in it, you don't think it's that great, but mm, it was pretty good. You know what
So
I
you
mean?
you had good parents.
I had good parents. They come from this life, but I never really seen it. I seen the my mom went through the resource that the parents in classes with me, and I was her last child, so she got it together with me. So I seen her, take the steps, and I didn't really understand it. Didn't really make sense to me, and in a way, she's actually she works for Philadelphia Fight. Everybody knows Mildred Lewis. She got commercials and articles, and she deals with addicts like myself. Um, I haven't really talked to her in over a year. She's been reaching out to me, so hopefully she sees this and realize I'm thinking about her, and I'm gonna reach out to her soon.
Well, kudos to mom. She worked with addicts, so she like to give back, and hopefully y'all two will, reunite. You know,
We
and
will.
and how did you get introduced to drugs? What introduced you to
Um,
'em?
my uncle Daddy, which is her brother. We came to Philly about 3 years ago. So he was dying of cancer. That was really like my father, and my real father had did something grimy and set me up with some guy. He had kept coming by the house to fake fix the house. I was smoking weed then, a lot of weed, probably too much weed, but I had medical marijuana card. I was coming from Jersey. I had stayed there for 6 years. That's where me and my family were coming from, my children. And he had when my uncle passed away, he had a lot of stuff. So I took the weed and um it was a lot of it. And the guy, he was like really struggling. So he kept coming by the house like asking for free weed and stuff like that. So one day I just gave him a whole bunch of it. Like, go ahead and make you some money or go do what you gotta do. He came back and he had mixed the bags with K2, and I hadn't noticed. And that day he was like, "Oh, I had just put my kids down for a nap." He was like, "You want me to roll you up?" And the rule, you don't never smoke nobody's stuff, and you roll your own shit stuff. Like that is that's always the rule, so you know what you smoking. I assumed that it had been my stuff because of the fact that I had gave it to him. He had rolled up a L and it had K2 in it, and from that point on, what I thought was one day of my life had become 8 days, and he had been, drugging me and molesting me for 8 days straight. So I hadn't even known what was going on with my kids. I hadn't known what was going on with my family. I hadn't known anything. I just remember one day, waking up and hearing, you know, they're coming to take your kids. I'm like, what?
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but you
Mm-hmm.
said K2,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you currently struggle with now.
No. Uh, at that time, I had been getting prescribed Percocets. Me being away for the 2 weeks, I couldn't get my script. So, my children's father at that time was struggling with the same was struggling with addiction of Percocets, which he had been struggling since I was 19. Something I had never known about at the time, but being 29 at the time, I knew that he had struggled with that. Um, he had told me he had ran into K Dot, which is a famous Philly rapper who struggles with fentanyl. I didn't know about that famous Philly rapper. I didn't really understand fentanyl. I didn't know much about it, but he had told me he had found a cheaper drug, which was the same drug. He's like, oh, it's the same thing as Percocets. It's the same thing that's in Percocets, but it's cheaper. It's only $5. And at that time for the pandemic, Percocets had doubled the price in milligram. So instead of paying $30 for a 30, you paying 60 for a 30. Um, he said to me, he was like, well, it's only $5. It's the same thing. So I'm like, this is after our children had got taken. When he first told me about it, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. You know what I mean? I'll just, wait for my script. I would get normal scripts for the last 2 weeks from a friend of mine from my dad's. They were real. When I lost my children and I was starting to connect everything together when I got the report, and it was saying how, the guardian said that I had struggled with wet and PCP. That's when I realized, okay, my dad had set that up because how would he have known that I struggled with something I never did before? You know what I mean? From the guy, from the leading to the guy being on K2, everybody in the neighborhood was telling me like, yeah, he does this. He's drugged several women. There's about 17 young women who's pregnant by him that have been drugged by him. The police know about him. They actually took me to his house that I had took a very long time remembering where I had been, where he had took me to. So he was very well known with the police. His name was Dante Cook. Um,
So excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
mhm.
do you have any work history?
Oh yes.
What's some of the
Um,
good things or good jobs you had?
Childcare since I was a child. Always have been dealing with children and healthcare. I want to say about 12 years. My sister was on in-home dialysis, so I would put her on the in-home dialysis machine. Things like that, dealing with any home health aid type of work, working in any type of doctor setting or whatever the case may be.
Okay, so what would you say contribute to you, landing in places like this?
I would say, I want to say really losing my kids and kind of not having the support of their father because he was already struggling with what he was struggling with. Once he started with fentanyl, it wasn't the same as Percocets. He went to he went to get help, but it had an effect on me that I couldn't. that I couldn't, get the help or stop at the time. You know what I mean? He had already been struggling with addiction damn near his whole life. I had just started. So by me only smoking weed my whole life and then going from weed and then at 29 to fentanyl is like, it was a different feeling.
And
So
how long have you been staying in here?
since 3 this morning. But
Do you consider going into a shelter?
I'm in the process, like I said, of doing that. I have been getting connected with resources to help me do that. For some reason I didn't want to. I just felt like I could do the whole, get right, getting a home. I figured since I had an income it would be easier to, like, I didn't, like, I was a little different, but I see that I can still use that resource for, housing, and see how they can help me
And
instead of running around in circles or paying people to stay
and
certain nights and
how bad
weeks.
is your addiction today?
It's not as bad as it was before. I used to do about a bundle of dope a day. I'm at about two or three bags a day.
And for people who don't understand the term bundle, how many bags are that?
A bundle is 16 bags of dope in a bundle. 16 to 17, depending on where you get it.
And you said you down to three or four.
About two or three.
Oh,
Hasn't quite reached four yet.
that's good because I was supposed the next step would just be to give it up, right?
Exactly.
Because I know you could do it.
I know
I,
I can do it too. I haven't had any clean time, but it doesn't really feel the same like it used to. It's definitely a more so a get well than it is a get high. Like
because
I miss my kids.
no look around. We know what drugs do, and as you can see,
This
it,
is not where you want your options to be.
right? You see,
It's
we
colder in here than it is outside, guys. Way colder in here.
right. So after this interview, if I wanted to call a shelter for you, would you be willing to go?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because none of us, deserve this, and some of us make bad choices that lead us down this
hmm
road. You
I'm like
know,
riding a train all day long, trying to stay out the, area, doing whatever I can to kind of stay out of, you know. But now I'm starting to realize I'm not the only one who does that, and I'm not coming up with no new ideas. So it's time to kind of.
well, we're here to help because everybody need help. Sometimes, especially the sick and suffering, and just want you to know, never, give up on yourself, or you're not forgotten.
I would say, if you're like me and you don't have family support in a way of, my family is real quick. They 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 don't want nothing to do with no addicts. They really don't want you, coming by. They don't want you,
Oh, wow. So,
they don't want you doing a lot. Um, they they if you have family support, use it, because that's what's going to keep you when you're kind of push it aside. I'm not saying that it's their fault, but I'm just saying that, you know my family's dealt with addicts their whole life, or they've been addicts, so they feel like pushing you out there and separating you from them will push you to get better, or push you to get where you're supposed to be. And if you don't get better, then that's on you. But you're not really. This is where you're gonna end up if you don't stop. If
that
you don't stop, I don't
well,
know what party you got going on that's helping you stay this way. Like, at one time, I had the perfect roof to get high and pay bills, so I was doing both working and getting high, working, getting high, working, getting high. So I thought I was different, and just within a year, I felt to this, close to this,
sister, you could get back up.
for sure. I know that.
And if there was, for supporters who was watching this, if they wanted to reach out to help you, do you have any contact information where they could actually reach out to you?
I am contactless. No matter how many phones I buy, they're going within the next 24, 48 hours from
Well,
somebody taking it
do
from
you
me.
have a Facebook page or
I do
Instagram
have a
page?
Facebook page. I have been on there since I've been getting high, but I have a Facebook page. I have Instagram. That's another reason why I've been trying to stay to myself to be able to keep a phone to not have to deal with people constantly taking from me.
Well,
Um,
do you want to?
my address is at Prevention Point though, and I'm always up Cambria.
Okay. Well, could you give me the information?
I think it's 2913 Kensington Avenue. I think that's the Prevention Point address, and Cambria and Kensington is right behind it. Ruth and Monmouth is right on the other side of it. Um, Sometimes I'm on Kensington and East Street. I'm Cambria and East Street, which is where Tracy's is, the Chinese store. Tracy's is right there on Kensington, Cambria.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get ready to end this interview, but I'm gonna keep you in our prayers, and hopefully you decide to get up and be that person you once was.
Hmm.
Because this is not you, but this is not the ending. It's just a little setback, but you will recover in time.
Yes.
And before I end this, is there anything else you would like to say?
Um, Everybody just pray for me. I don't really need no monetary resources. I just need a lot of prayer. And right now, and can somebody just reach out to my kids, foster parent, and let her know that I'm gonna be contacting her soon, or is that a way she can contact my mom so I can get her number or whatever? Because I don't have that number anymore.
Okay. Well, thank you, for sharing your story and being, courageous today. And hopefully someone can see this, widow, it helps you and it helped them also. So
Yes.
the next time, like I said, I keep you in my prayer.
Thank you.
And thank y'all for watching.